this school and the teachers in this room are the best in the area. And while I don't plan on repeating much from the talk I gave when I graduated, I will say this again with just as much confidence. Parents, you got every penny's worth, because you cannot put a price tag on what these teachers, coaches, and administration bring to the table every single day, year after year. Please give them a round of applause. And now the graduates. How do you motivate and inspire a group of 17 and 18-year-olds? I think because I'm old enough to be your sibling, and I wish I could spare you the cliches, but I really do feel like I was just sitting there. I think because of this seems even more daunting. I think most of your teachers would agree that to motivate or inspire and to teach really come hand in hand. While I've never formally been a teacher myself, I've certainly spent enough time in school to appreciate the art from the other end of the classroom. One of my favorite teachers was a pathology professor that I had in my second year of medical school. That's 18th grade. And he would lecture the same way every day. He would stand at the podium and he would pose questions. And next to the podium, he had a big fishbowl with everyone's name. And as he would lecture and pose questions, he'd reach into the fishbowl, pull out someone's name, and our class was a little bit bigger than yours. And if he called your name, you had to stand and answer. You can imagine that this created a lot of anxiety. You always were on the edge of your seat. You always had to be ready. You couldn't take a day off. You always had to be ready to go. I learned that year that fear is an incredible motivator. I think I studied that year like I never had before. So anyway, I thought, since the goal of today is to try to motivate, and I'm really fond of interactive lectures, wouldn't it be great if we had something like that today? And the alumni office was actually nice enough to provide me with all of their names. Teachers, I implore you, this is a great idea. So the principle's simple. I ask a question, reach in, pull out a name, and you guys answer. If I can't hear you, I might actually have to come down there. Or you have to come up here, one or the other. So you speak loud. So we'll start off with something very simple, like a warm-up question. So I know you all have plans for the fall, be it college, and someone's going to the military, trade school. So where are you headed in the fall? Anthony Rogan. What's that?
Undecided.
Undecided. Okay. That's okay. That wasn't so bad. Okay, so the next question, I'm going to give you a little more time to chew on, okay? And the question is this. What motivates you? What motivates you? Okay? Think about it for a little bit, and when we're done, we'll pick a few names and see what you come up with. The reason I ask you this is because if I've learned one thing in 10 years, it's that you have to know yourself. It's why every application you'll ever fill out at every level has a personal statement. Who are you? Why are you doing this? Two simple, fundamental questions that appear straightforward, yet most of us, and I'm no exception, have to pause and think. Now, perhaps like many of you, I'm the product of people who immigrated to this area to work in Youngstown's mills. And when you walk up here to get your diploma, you'll officially have more formal education than all of my great-grandparents combined. They view work a lot differently than you and I. Today, what are we told? Love your job, right? We say that all the time. Enjoy what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life. I don't think great-grandpa or great-grandma Petro enjoyed working in the mill. But it put food on the table, and it provided what the American dream offers. And that's a better life for your children. So their children went to high school. graduated, fought in a war, came home, and then worked in the mill. But their children, my parents, were able to go beyond. My dad actually worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken so that he can pay for his Ursuline tuition. And then he and my mother went to YSU, met, and here I am. So, the reason I ask this is, when I view my life as the culmination of those 3 generations, I feel spoiled. You see, ours is the generation that doesn't have to worry about getting drafted into a war. Ours is the generation that had parents and grandparents. There's a room full of them, willing to make sacrifices so that we could all be sitting here today. And ours is the generation that gets to love what we do. I'm wondering if any of our grandparents or great-grandparents would even be willing and capable of wrapping their heads around this concept. Yet here you are, with the world at your fingertips. Now, no one knows if they're going to love what you do. It's unknown. How could you possibly? But when you think of how fortunate you are to even have that opportunity, your worst days will seem much less traumatic. When I haven't had a day off in 3 weeks, when I'm getting berated by a chief resident, or when a college professor, or as of late, a veteran nurse, reminds me that I still have a lot to learn. I'm motivated by the fact that a lot of people made sacrifices so that I would have those opportunities to struggle. And if my great-grandfather were alive, he would say, son, you get to work 3 weeks in a row. Getting berated is part of your training, and the veteran nurse probably does know more than you. So when I ask you, what motivates you? I want you to view your life as something bigger than yourself. Know your story. Know what makes you burn. You don't have to backpack Europe. You don't have to spend a lot of your parents' or your own money trying to find yourself in college. In fact, if you're looking for yourself, I'll give you a hint. Your story are the people in this room. Your life is the next chapter. As a side note, if you are going to college, remember, your goal is to get a job, not a degree. Now, I know you're all going to leave here ready to go. You're going to have your game face on. You're going to be ready to take on the world. But know this. There will come a time when you're tested. I'm not going to pick any more names out of the bowl. You can all relax. But I hope you have something on the tip of your tongue. And I hope I got you to think about it. Because how do you motivate a group of 17 and 18-year-olds? I humbly admit that I cannot. The truth is, the inspiration of others, this talk, is transient. The secret is that you need to know how to motivate yourself. Know what makes you burn and hold on to it tightly. Because when you don't get what you want, when you don't pass the test, when you don't get the job you wanted, when someone looks you right in the eye and says, I'm not really sure you're cut out for this, when a loved one dies and the world as you know it crumbles beneath you, those are the moments when God reaches in, pulls out your name, and asks, what are you made of? At a minimum, I know this. We're all brothers and sisters of Ursuline. You are from Youngstown, Ohio, and say that with pride. And you're the Fighting Irish. And when you walk out those doors, the rest of the world's going to hear your thunder. God bless. Make us proud.